Hello again, and welcome to Job Talks and Dog Walks with me, Phil Stern, and my dog, Mabel. Mabel, who is just sniffing around. So today, we're going to be talking about the experience section in your CV. The last couple of videos dealt with the profile section and core skills, and today we're going to get into the meat and veg of the proceedings. Oh, you're there, good. So this is where all the action's happening. We've kind of set the scene in your profile and your core skills. We've whetted the appetite of the reader, and now we're getting into what you actually bring to the party, your experience, what you've done. What does that need to look like? Okay, let's get some simple things out of the way first. First thing, it's in reverse chronological order. That means you put the most recent job that you've had first, okay, and then work backwards from there. When I'm doing CVs for clients, I always make sure that their finished CV, the experience section in their CV represents a sort of words funnel shape. What do I mean by that? So a funnel is obviously much bigger at the top, wider at the top, and thinner at the bottom. That means you need to focus more effort and time representing your most recent self, so say the last 5 years, and much less time talking about or writing about the events of 15, 20, even 30, however long your career is, years ago. Thing that you need to set here for the reader is context. This is super important. Actually, it's really important across your CV, because although you know it all, you know exactly what you've done over the last however many years, the reader won't. They won't know you at all. So any of that kind of assumed knowledge that you have, or don't assume that they've got it. So you need to set the scene for them and provide them with a rich context. So some examples of this are, when you put the name of the employer, write a line, a few words underneath the name of the employer to illustrate what they do and just explain the size and scale of that organisation. On my own CV, I used to work for Amazon. Who doesn't know who Amazon is? It still says underneath it, 750,000 people, however many trillion turnover, online retail giant, blah, blah, blah. It provides some information about the organisation. So next thing, job title and dates, your tenure. Make sure you include the dates, include the months. So why is that important? Because I see people all the time just sending me CVs that say, 2010 to 2014, 2014 to 2016, 2016 to 2017. So where's the problem in all of this? Well, if you're somewhere from 2016 to 2017, that could mean that you were there for 2 days if you joined at the end of December and left at the beginning of January. Or it could mean that you were there for 2 years if you started on the 1st of January and then finished at the end of December the following year, okay? Yes, so doing that helps the employer or the recruiter get an idea of the kind of impact that you might have had. Clearly, if you were there 2 years, you're going to have done more stuff than you would have done if you were only there 2 days. If you have had a series of successive jobs at the same employer, you don't have to write the same employer name at the top of each job, round and round, okay? So a lot of my clients have worked for Heathrow, for example, Heathrow Airport, for 20 years. And some of them, you've got project manager, Heathrow Airport, this date to this date. Project manager, Heathrow Airport, this date to this date. Security manager, this date to this date, Heathrow Airport, etc. So they're repeating Heathrow Airport 14 times. Don't need to. How do you get around this? Simply put at the top, Heathrow Airport, 1995 to present. And then you have your little blurb about Heathrow Airport, and then your job title, and then after each job, you then put the dates that you were there, like I just said, in point 2. What happens if the company has changed name over that time? No worries, or been acquired. No worries at all. Just put the current name of the company at the top, and then somewhere in the blurb put formerly whatever the previous name of the company was. Okay. Point 4 is give some explanation or context to your remit. It's going to just break up the style and the formatting a little bit. So if you have a couple of lines, not bulleted, you may even want to have a couple of lines, then another couple of lines, just with a little bit of line space in between, just to explain what your remit is or was at the job. So why is this important? For the same reason as putting the context and the information about the organisation. This basically tells whoever's reading it the crux of what you were there to do, your remit. You know, what they hired you for. Now, something I always say to my clients is they haven't hired you, or they're not recruiting for that role for fun. They are recruiting because they have a problem. They have a pain point that they need somebody to solve. You need to be able to get across in your CV that you're effectively the saviour for that pain. And you can do that by demonstrating the kind of pains and problems that you've solved in the past. You've already kind of set out some of this in the profile section. I was hired to stem the fall in sales and poor employee engagement in the sales team. Okay, that really clearly sets out what you were hired to do, or what the problems were. And then, as part of that context, particularly if you're in a leadership role, tell the reader what the scope was of your role. This is dead simple, and so many people don't do this. Okay, just add some numbers in there. This gives context. First number, how many people in your team? How many directs you have? Okay, so I've got 5 direct reports and a wider team of 250. Okay, that tells me immediately that you're used to running large teams that are quite possibly quite complicated. You can say what budget you've got. Okay, so I've got a £30 million budget. Fab. I report to the CTO or whoever it is, right? Or the MD or whatever. It kind of gives scope and scale to your job. Okay, so there we go. 4 really easily usable tips on how to improve your CV experience section. So we've gone over 1. Get the basics right. Put your experience into reverse chronological order and shape it into a funnel. 2. Provide some context by giving an idea of what the employer does. Don't assume that the reader is going to know. 3. Get the dates right. Ensure you use months on each of your jobs. 4. Get some context down. Explain what your remit is, the scale and scope of your job. So there we go, that's the first part of how to write the experience section of your CV. On the next video, we're going to be talking about how to write the bullet points on the experience section. So get over there and check it out.